Sir Henry Taylor KCMG was an English dramatist and poet, official, and well-connected man of letters. Early life. Taylor was born on the 18th of October 1800 in Bishop Middleham, the third son of George Taylor and Eleanor Ashworth. His mother died when he was an infant. His father married Jane Mills in 1818, and the family then moved to Whittingley, where George Taylor's friend Charles Arbuthnot found positions in London for Henry Taylor and George, one of his older brothers. They went to London in 1817 with the second brother, William, a medical student, but soon afterwards they all caught typhus fever. William and George died in a fortnight. Henry Taylor then took up post in Barbados. Taylor's place was abolished in 1820, and he returned to his father's house. At the Colonial Office, Taylor had been introduced to Henry Holland, and through him obtained a clerkship in the Colonial Office. There he worked from 1824 until 1872, serving under the permanent secretary Robert William Hay in particular. He was appointed a Knight Commander of the Order of St. Michael and St. George in the 1869 birthday honours. His successors were James Stephen, Herman Merivale and Frederick Rogers. Hay, Stephen, Taylor and James Spedding, who also worked in the office, each brought forward reforming proposals. Taylor and Stephen were allies of Viscount Howick in his abolitionist efforts of the early 1830s. Hay was unhelpful and was eventually ousted in favour of the efficient Stephen. Taylor died on the 27th of March 1886. Literary connections. Taylor wrote Byronic poems and an article on Thomas More, which in 1822 was accepted for the Quarterly Review by William Gifford. Returning to London in October 1823, he found that Gifford had printed another article of his on Lord John Russell. Taylor had also contributed to the London Magazine, and had an offer of the editorship. His father George was a friend of William Wordsworth. In 1823, on a visit to the Lake District, Henry Taylor made the acquaintance of Robert Southey, and they became friends. Jane Taylor had a first cousin, Isabella Fenwick, and Henry Taylor introduced her to the Wordsworth family. She became a close friend of Wordsworth in later life, as she had been of Taylor up to the time of his marriage. Taylor's work also brought him literary friends, the circle of Thomas Hyde Villiers, and his colleague James Stephen. He also knew John Sterling. Through Villiers he became acquainted with Charles Austin, John Stuart Mill, and some of the Benthamites. He made speeches in opposition to the views in the Debating Society documented by Mill. He also invited them to personal meetings with Wordsworth and Southey. Mill introduced Taylor to Thomas Carlyle in November 1831, initiating a long friendship. Carlyle's opinion of the marked veracity of Taylor was printed wrongly by the editor James Anthony Froude as morbid vivacity. Taylor aspired to become the official biographer of Southey. The family row over Southey's second marriage to Caroline Ann Bowles found him with the Wordsworths and others hostile to Bowles. He did become Southey's literary executor. Works in Whitton. Taylor wrote The Cave of Cedar, which was accepted for the Quarterly Review. Taylor wrote a number of plays, including Isaac Comnenus and Philip Van Artevelde. This latter brought him fame and elicited comparisons with Shakespeare. In 1845 there followed a book of lyrical poems. His essay The Statesman caused some controversy, as a supposedly satirical view of how the civil service worked. Taylor published his autobiography in 1885, which contains portraits of Wordsworth, Southey, Tennyson, and Walter Scott. In it, on his own account, he gave Richard Whately's opinion of him as a resuscitated Bacon, who had better things to do than write verse. His poem Edwin the Fair depicted Charles Eliot as Earl Athelf. Thomas Frederick Eliot, Charles's brother, was a Colonial Office colleague. Family. Taylor married Hon. Theodosia Alice Spring Rice, daughter of Thomas Spring Rice, 1st Baron Monteagle of Brandon, on 17 October 1839. They had 5 children, including the biographer Ida Alice Ashworth Taylor. Selected bibliography. Plays Taylor, Henry. Isaac Comnenus. London, John Murray. OCLC 707,078,180. Taylor, Henry. The Virgin Widow. London, Longman, Brown, Green, and Longmans. OCLC 774,388. Taylor, Henry. St. Clement's Eve. London, Chapman and Hall. OCLC 4,790,189. Taylor, Henry. Philip Van Artevelde. London, Boston, Ticknor and Fields. OCLC 405,182. Poems Taylor, Henry. Edwin the Fair. London, John Murray. OCLC 4,790,134. Taylor, Henry. The Poetical Works of Henry Taylor. London, Chapman and Hall. OCLC 1,878,181. Taylor, Henry. The Works. Cambridge, England. Chadwick Healy. OCLC 60,518,022. Chapters in books Taylor, Henry. Sir Henry Taylor on Secrecy, engrossed John J. The Oxford Book of Essays. Oxford, England, New York, Oxford University Press. ISBN 9780141,859. Also available as Taylor, Henry on Secrecy, in Taylor, Henry, The Statesman, London, Longman, Rees, Orme, Brown, Green, and Amp, Longman, pp. 128-131, OCLC 4,790,233. Preview Essays Taylor, Henry. 654. Article 6. Moore's Irish Melodies. Quarterly Review. John Murray 2, 28, 139-144. With an appendix containing the original advertisements, and the prefatory letter on music. Taylor, Henry. Gifford, William. 687. Article 4. Lord John Russell, Don Carlos, or Persecution, a Tragedy, in 5 acts. Quarterly Review. John Murray 2, 29, 370-382. Taylor, Henry. Schaeffer, David Lewis. Schaeffer, Roberta R. The Statesman. Westport, P. Connecticut. Prager. ISBN 9780275,944,032. Originally published as Taylor, Henry. The Statesman. London, Longman, Rees, Orme, Brown, Green, and Amp, Longman. OCLC 4,790,233. Preview. Taylor, Henry. Notes from a Life in 6 Essays. London, John Murray. OCLC 1,112,226. Available online. Money, Humility and Amp, Independence, Wisdom, Choice in Marriage, Children, A Life Poetic Mazeo, Tyler Jet, The Slipshod Muse, Byron, Originality and Aesthetic Plagiarism in Mazeo, Tyler Jet, Plagiarism and Literary Property in the Romantic Period, Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania Press, pp. 94-104, ISBN 9780802,731. Byron's most extended engagement with questions of plagiarism occurs in Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, Canto 3. The third canto of the poem was published in November of 1816, and by 1817 semi-public allegations of plagiarism were being circulated by Wordsworth. These charges were later made publicly in an 1823 essay written by Wordsworth's friend Henry Taylor for the London Magazine. Wordsworth's letter to Henry Taylor regarding the essay. Wordsworth, William, CCCLXXXIX, William Wordsworth to Henry Taylor, Rydal Mount, December 26. In Wordsworth, William, Wordsworth, Dorothy, Knight, William Angus, Letters of the Wordsworth Family, from 1787 to 1855, Volume 3, 1833-1855, New York, New York, Haskell House Publishing, pp. 211-213, OCLC 255,149,323. He deserves the severe chastisement which you, or someone else, will undoubtedly one day give him, and may have done already. As I see by advertisement, the subject has been treated in the London Magazine. The essay, Taylor, Henry, Recent Poetical Plagiarisms and Imitations. The London Magazine, pp. 569-676. Baldwin, Craddock and Amp, Joy. 8, 597-604. Mr.